Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, it should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Good morning, my friend. Broadcasting from my basement bunker beneath Kettle Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour. It is great to have you along. I was running a little bit late because I got really stuck on this. It's just crazy. This is, I think, townhall.com. It's a post out. Conservatives have resurfaced this clip of Brian Stelter justifying censorship of conservatives. And this is all over Jimmy Kimmel and these people. And so you've got the receipts of Brian Stelter, who was among those, saying, and the clip is fairly long. I'll pick it up here. It's about 2 minutes, about 47 seconds in, where he starts to make some of these comments. Let's go.
But while some cry cancel culture, let me suggest a different way to think about this.
Now this is when the Democrats were in charge. This is when Tucker Carlson was still on Fox. So he's responding to Tucker Carlson, so on. Tucker's not been on Fox for a while. So this piece is dated. Keep that in mind. Democrats were in power.
Harm reduction model. Most people want clean air and blue skies and accurate news and rational views. And then in that healthy environment that looks beautiful, then we can have great fights about taxes and regulation and healthcare and all the rest. The vast majority of people can agree that disinformation about, let's say, the pandemic is unhealthy. It's harmful. So how can that harm be reduced? Well, big tech platforms say they are removing lies about vaccines and stamping out Stop the Steal BS and QAnon cult content. Now, do these private companies have too much power? Sure. And many people would say, yes, of course they do. But reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech.
You hear that? Reducing a liar's speech is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. You really want Brian Stelter and the legacy media making the decision as to, your speech, as to whether or not you're truthful? They're totally content with this. Here's another one. Chris Hayes on Jimmy Kimmel getting fired. This renders the First Amendment meaningless. When Tucker Carlson was fired, he believed he could say anything, no matter how disgusting, and get away with it. So he's got side-by-side here video of him in both cases. And the hypocrisy of these people is just absolutely incredible. This is why I believe that more people are headed for the Jimmy Kimmel dumpster. You know what I mean? Of just being absolutely irrelevant, being wrong on a lot of these issues. It is just absolutely incredible. I've got a few other stories. We'll talk about Charlie Kirk's funeral. Coming up. I've got some more details on that for those of you who might be interested in watching Charlie Kirk's funeral. It's going to be available on Rumble. A lot of folks though aren't on Rumble, so I'll tell you how else you'll be able to catch it. This story caught my eye. Kristen Chenoweth. Are you familiar with her? This is, she's an actress and Broadway star. Tearing up Thursday, she was talking about her controversial Instagram comment saying, and she shared how upset she felt by Charlie Kirk's assassination. And So the reporter brought up the mixed reactions, and she said, mixed, you're being kind. No, yeah, because the reactions were not mixed. She has been a supporter. She's got a big LGBTQ plus fan base, she said, and she was expressing her heartbreak over Charlie Kirk's loss. Now, that is incredibly human and decent, in my opinion. That is just a decent thing to do. And she said, whether you support him or not, whether you loved him or not, that decency just requires that this is how we act. And she said, I saw what happened online with my own eyes, and I had a human moment of reflection right then. So responding to this video that she had posted, and she said, I came to understand that my comment hurt some folks, and that hurt me so badly, so I would never. It's no secret that I'm a Christian, that I'm a person of faith. It's also no secret that I'm an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community, and for some that doesn't go together, but for me it always has and it always will. And so apparently the LGBTQ plus crowd were the ones that were quite upset with her for what she had said. So she made these what she said, not always agreeing with him, but appreciating some perspectives. And she concluded, what a heartbreak. His young family, I know where he is now, heaven, but still. And she called out the shooting as a sad, senseless, and disgusting act. Why in the hell should anybody have to apologize for that? That just absolutely blows my mind. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, the Senate remembering Charlie Kirk. They passed that National Day of Remembrance. It's coming up on his birthday, October 14th. So the Senate unanimously approved a resolution marking October 14th, which is Charlie Kirk's birthday, as a National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. And then you get a lot of speakers. House Speaker Mike Johnson said that the House would soon pass a resolution honoring the life and legacy of our friend Charlie Kirk and condemning the political violence that led to his passing, which I think we all should. Absolutely. And I would say the same thing if it was somebody on the left. This inability that we have to be able to connect, and I don't understand it. I really don't. So Riley Gaines is back in the news. She was talking about her own experience with left-wing campus violence. So she said at a Turning Point USA event that radical trans student activists attacked her, forced her to take refuge in a classroom. Remember that? I talked about it extensively at the time. And she said, I was so disoriented. You have men and dresses and women with beards. I'm confused. Fists are flying in my face, she said. It was a police officer, plainclothesman, pulled her out of the fight back into a hallway where even more protesters were waiting. Yeah, this is what conservative voices like Riley Gaines, Charlie Kirk, is what they face on college campuses. And she said, I was so scared. I was so scared. I was scared for my life. I broke down in tears. I looked at the officer and I said, I just want to go home. And he looked at me and he said, that's a bit selfish. Don't you think we want to go home too? How is that so crazy? Yeah, that's trying to see if there's any newer comments. No accountability, nothing done to the students, to the university administrators who enabled this. This stuff is just crazy. Okay, I promised to share details with you about Charlie Kirk's funeral for those of you who are inclined. News Nation says that they are going to have coverage. They will provide special coverage of Charlie Kirk's funeral this coming up Sunday. And their coverage will start at noon. So this will begin at noon Central Time, ahead of the service. I think it's 1 hour later, so they'll have prior to this. The public memorial will, the vice president's going to be there. Erica Kirk will be speaking. Also, the president will be speaking. Members of the president's cabinet, Susie Wiles, Marco, she's the chief of staff, excuse me, as well as members of the cabinet, Marco Rubio, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump Jr. will be there, Tucker Carlson, Stephen Miller. All are scheduled to speak during this. So I thought this might be something that may interest you if you want to be able to watch it. They're reporting here vigils and memorials have been held all across the country, including at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Mourners lined up around the building. Kirk was also memorialized at, mute that phone. Vigils and memorials have been held across the country, including at the Kennedy Center. That's what I was talking about. So there are a number of them. I don't know if you've actually have captured any of those, but why is my voicemail not picking up? I'll just do that. I have got to learn to mute my phone. Sorry. And everybody, folks, and I get frustrated because folks here know that I'm doing this and I'm in my office. I got a do not disturb sign on my office door every day. So folks are aware that I'm doing this. And here come the calls. Anyway, Erica Kirk will be leading Turning Point USA. She was named as the new CEO. I covered that on the radio show this morning. So I apologize for wrestling with the phone. There was one that we haven't talked much about this on the program, about Joe Biden's former chief of staff, Jeff Zients. He revealed to Congress yesterday that President Joe Biden's memory and decision-making deteriorated while in office. So he declined to answer questions from reporters, but told the House Oversight Committee that he told White House physician Kevin O'Connor that Biden should have a full medical workup, including a cognitive exam after that bad debate performance, which is, and after that, of course, Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race. That led us to the debacle with Kamala Harris. So I'm trying to see if there's anything new in this. The Biden, it's amazing. Now they're talking about it, but at the time they just covered it up. Zients claimed the mental freezes that aides observe were unprecedented. And I think the rest of the country thought so as well. And we weren't close to him. We weren't there. We weren't seeing it. Well, we were seeing it whenever he was on television, which was not very much. I think we certainly saw it during that debate performance. So a second source familiar with Zients' testimony said the chief's job was to ensure that the president met with a wide range of advisors to thoroughly consider issues so that the president could make the best decisions. He had full confidence in the president's ability to serve, proud of what Biden accomplished. Really? You're proud of what Joe Biden accomplished? Wow. I mean, I suppose if you're there and you're pushing a lot of these just really failed policies along the way, you might feel that way. that was not the feeling for many on Main Street, and the condition of the country as Joe Biden left it. It's been pretty amazing, I think, to watch the Trump presidency. How many months are we in now? The amount of time that we have been into the Trump presidency and the number of things that he has been able to accomplish. One of the stories this morning, and I wanted to touch on this, I'm sorry I hadn't done so, was regarding TikTok. So you may have heard Fox News Radio was reporting during my program this morning that the president making an announcement, meeting with leader of China, that it was taking place this morning. Now, I haven't seen any news coverage following that, but that was to take place this morning about the United States taking TikTok, taking ownership of TikTok, the Chinese selling it to the United States, and the business interests have been lined up for quite a little while, as you and I have talked about. And were TikTok to become an American platform, would you be interested in it? I think many of us have avoided TikTok because of the fact that it was owned by China. That's what's kept a lot of people away from TikTok. But you have seen a number of people, the president, including others, who have started using TikTok. Now, the president started using TikTok prior to the election as a way to reach younger voters and had great success doing that. So I have been kind of wait and see what becomes of this. Will the United States finally be able to secure a deal with China for TikTok? And what will that mean? And I would think then that platform then, as popular as it is, if the United States were able to take ownership of that and really guarantee then security to those who are on TikTok, so on, those who, whether they're providing content or not, protecting their security, I think will encourage a lot more people to log on. I'm going to leave it there for this morning. I want to thank you so much for joining me. You made it to the end of the video, so you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade, those who are commenting. And I love seeing your comments. I go back afterwards generally. Sometimes I'll pop into them as we're going. But afterward, I always view them. So thank you so much for your thoughts. Drop me an email anytime, greg.belfrage@kelo.com. And I will see you again on Monday. So until then, I'm underground and gone.